This year, ESCO, despite it's a virtual meeting, has very interesting updates on large randomized trial. I think those trials will really change how we treat multiple myeloma, interestingly. And I picked 5 trials which I think are really important. Despite the endurance trial that will be presented by Dr. Shashi Kumar, showing that RVD is equivalent to KRD, which I don't know what to mention here in details. We have several other trials which are really showing how we manage care of multiple myeloma. One of the trials for focusing on newly diagnosed multiple myeloma, high-risk multiple myeloma, was presented by Dr. Saad Usmani, and he presented the data on behalf of the SWOG investigators. He focused on high-risk multiple myeloma, and the question he wanted to answer was, does the addition of elotuzumab to RVD increase the response and outcome in patients with high-risk multiple myeloma? So 134 patients were randomized to either receiving RVD or RVD plus elotuzumab. And interestingly, there was no difference in the progression-free survival, in the overall survival. But I think what is really a surprise that there was also no difference in the overall response rate. So the conclusion of the trial was that the addition of elotuzumab to RVD does not improve the outcome of high-risk newly diagnosed multiple myeloma patients. Another trial that focused on newly diagnosed high-risk multiple myeloma patients was a trial presented by Dr. Weisel from Hamburg, Germany. She presented data on behalf of the German Multiple Myeloma Group. She presented data on an interim analysis, and patients who were transplant eligible or non-transplant eligible were treated with isatuximab and KRD. The transplant arm received an induction of 4 cycles followed by transplant and a consolidation, and patients who were not transplant eligible received received treatment with isatuximab and KRD for 12 cycles followed by a maintenance. The endpoint of the studies was MRD negativity, and the interim analysis showed that this regimen induces a high response rate in patients with high-risk multiple myeloma. So they had 100% overall response rate with 90% VGPR. Very impressive data, but I have to say that high-risk multiple myeloma patients can induce deep remissions, but the main difficulty is to keep them in a durable long-term progression-free survival. So without the progression-free survival and overall survival data, the kind of benefit or the relevance of that trial is somehow limited. Encouraging, but again, we need to look for the long-term follow-up data. Another trial that focused on the management of newly diagnosed patients was the STAMINA trial. I think that is one of the most important trials presented here at ESCO. If you recall, the STAMINA trial focused on the management of patients post the first transplant. It was a large trial with 750 patients, and the patients were randomized after the first transplant in either lenalidomide maintenance, VRD consolidation, followed by lenalidomide maintenance, or patients received a second transplant with MEL200 and lenalidomide maintenance. The initial trial, to remind you, did not show any difference in the progression-free survival, overall survival. And the authors presented here a long-term follow-up of 6 years, so very impressive data. And even with a long-term follow-up of 6 years, there was no difference between the 3 groups in terms of overall survival and progression-free survival. But with the analysis of the data, the authors realized that many patients who were randomized to the second transplant arm actually did not receive the second transplant. Over 30% of the patients who were supposed to get a double transplant only received 1 transplant. So that's why the authors decided to do, instead of an intention to treat analysis, a to treat analysis. That means they only included patients that actually received a double transplant. And what that analysis showed was that patients who received a double transplant had a better progression-free survival in comparison to patients who had 1 transplant, followed by lenalidomide. A subgroup analysis showed that especially high-risk patients benefited from that second transplant. So the authors also included an additional maintenance trial. So the original STAMINA trial only had a 3-year lenalidomide maintenance, but after the CALGB data showed that lenalidomide maintenance until disease progression is the best maintenance strategy you can choose for your newly diagnosed patients. The STAMINA trial added an additional len maintenance after 36 months. That means patients who completed their 3 years lenalidomide maintenance, were progression-free, could go on a second lenalidomide maintenance trial. And around 200 patients of the STAMINA trial went into that lenalidomide maintenance, and those patients were compared to patients who stopped after 3 years of len maintenance. And what this trial showed was that patients who continued with len maintenance had a significant better progression-free survival. So altogether, this large update of the STAMINA trial gives us 3 take-home messages. Number 1, if one transplant in standard risk patients is sufficient. Number 2, if you have high-risk newly diagnosed multiple myeloma patients, you might consider a second transplant. And number 3, lenalidomide maintenance treatment until disease progression is the best strategy post-transplant. Another trial that focused on relapsed refractory multiple myeloma patients was the BB2121 CAR-T trial, also called ide-cel. Besides 2 other oral presentations of the CAR-T trials, the KITE trial and also the LEGEND trial, I think that trial included the large patient population with 128 patients. They showed data in the different dose cohorts, and the treatment dose cohort with 450 times to the 6 CAR-T cells showed an impressive overall response rate of 82%. Also, in terms of the progression-free survival, patients who achieved a complete remission or stringent complete remission had a progression-free survival of 20.2 months. So that's almost 2 years. That is very encouraging data. In terms of relapsed refractory clinical trials, I think the Boston trial that compared selinexor, Velcade, and Dex versus Velcade and Dex is one of the highlights. So it showed that selinexor, Velcade, and Dex is superior in terms of progression-free survival and also time to next treatment, with 16.1 months versus around 10 months in the Velcade Dex arm. So the trial was an interim analysis of around 400 patients. Too early to present data on the overall survival, but I think the increase in the progression-free survival is really encouraging. The problem with that trial is there's a relatively high dropout rate with 17% in the selinexor, Velcade, and Dex arm. So the management of the toxicity is still challenging for patients who receive selinexor. But altogether, we are very excited to see other clinical trials in different combination with selinexor, for instance, daratumumab with dexamethasone or carfilzomib and dexamethasone. Those trials are also presented here at ASCO at poster presentation, and those other 2 trials also showed a benefit of the selinexor. So these trials, I think, are my highlights, and I think they will influence the future treatment of multiple myeloma.